Dear students, good morning to all. Welcome to our online science class. Today's topic is fertilization and asexual reproduction in plants. Fertilization occurs when there is in sexual reproduction. Before going to discuss about that, first we should know what is fertilization. Fertilization is nothing but the fusion of male and female gametes. That means it is the continuous of sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, there must be two gender, one male and one female, and fertilization occurs only when male gamete and female gamete fuse together to form zygote. To know more about fermentation, first we should know the parts of male and female reproductive system. Female reproductive part, stigma. This is the reproductive part of plant. Style. This is long pipe-like structure. Ovary, the round portion of the female reproductive system. In that ovary, ovule are present. This is the female part, and now you should have the male part also. Otherwise, you can't be sexual reproduction or they can't be fertilization. There are numerous male parts in plants. These portion known as anther. Anther there are pollen grains. What is pollen grains? Pollen grains are actually the male gamete. As I told you, to form fertilization, we need two, one male gamete and one female gamete. Otherwise, there can't be any fertilization. So, the anther of male parts has numerous pollen grains, and these pollen grains are actually the male part of male gametes of plant. And what about female gamete? In female parts, ovary contain ovule. Ovules are the female gamete. So, now we are having both male and female gametes. In ovary, there are many layers. In the middle, there is ovule. In the ovule, cells are present, and these cells will transform into the end product of fertilization. Then, how to occur fertilization? In previous session, you have learned about pollination, because pollination is the first part of fertilization. What is pollination? Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from male part to the stigma of the female part. What is pollen grains? As I told you, the pollen grains are present in the anther of male part. These pollen grains reach the cells in the ovule through pollen tube. These pollen tube formed by pollen grains. Here, the cell of the pollen tubes divide into two. That means the single cell form two cells. These two cells going down through pollen tubes to reach the cells in the ovule. These cells are known as egg cells. Now, among these both cells from the pollen grains, one is fused to these egg cells and it forms embryo, and another is fused with center cell and form food of the baby plant. After fertilization, the ovule becomes seed and ovary becomes the fruit. So this is the process of fertilization of plant. Next, asexual reproduction. The production of new plants without the involvement of pollination and fertilization. This means that a new plant is grown from any other part of the plant other than seed. Next, types of asexual reproduction. First one, vegetative propagation. We know that most plants have roots, stems, leaves. These are called vegetative parts of the plants. When new plants produced from these parts, the process is called vegetative propagation. For example, rose plant can be grown by cutting off the parts of stem with 2 or more nodes. Next, fragmentation. Algae is a simplest green plant and a thread-like structure and grown in ponds and lakes, and it is filled on the surface of the water. An algae breaks up into smaller fragments. Each of the smaller fragments grows into a new independent algae. They reproduce by the method known fragmentation. Next, spore formation. Look at this picture. This white mass on the bread is called mold. It is type of fungus that grows on moist organic surfaces like leather shoes, moist wall, etc. This fungus reproduce by means of spores. These spores are very light and forms on the surface. Dear students, in this session we are discussed about fertilization and asexual reproduction. Thank you.